Hi guys, welcome back to a new episode where I'll be showing you how to do drum replacements, basically drum triggering. So I currently did a video which is going viral currently, and I got some comments, some good comments, some bad comments, and some people said the video was fake, meaning I was faking it because I used a microphone, which is a normal dynamic microphone, and I used my finger to create impulse on that microphone, and I sent that impulse to my trigger software, and I was able to trigger that impulse and convert it into a kick drum sound. And they thought it was fake, so I'm doing this video, this live video, for you to see me exactly how I'm going to do this same thing as proof that the video is not fake. So let me play the video for you. I want you guys be able to see my streaming software. So transition. So this is the video over here. Thank you for loving me too much. Thank you for loving me too much. Break it down. You guys can watch it again. Thank you for loving me too much. Thank you for loving me too much. Break it down. So if you check the comments, I got a lot of comments, and some people actually saying the video was fake. Yeah, and it was a surprise to me because the only reason why you think the video is fake is actually limited knowledge. Yeah, you've nothing thought about possibilities. Anything you think of in the world of audio is actually possible. Maybe not all, but most things are actually possible when you think of it. You'll be able to create a solution behind these things and find out that there are some certain things that can work you've never thought of before. So that's what's happened, and I'm going to show you guys how I got that to work. So guys, this is Cubase 12, and I'm going to show you exactly how I made it work. So basically I'm using let me transition back so you guys can see me. So basically I'm using Cubase 13, and the trigger software I'm using is Aptrigger from Apulsoft, and I have libraries and samples that I recorded, high quality samples that I use for my drum triggering. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it, and you guys will watch me use this microphone, and I'll do the same thing, and I'll send impulse from my sound card from this microphone to my software, my DAW, and I'm going to change the sound. You guys are going to witness me live doing it. So this video is a live video, and you guys are going to see every process. So let me show you guys my software over here. So you guys can be able to see my screen. So this is Cubase, and I'm using a sound card over here, and I've selected our sound card to be an aggregate device input. So those that are familiar with Cubase, you can actually create input bus and output bus, which are just normal input and output. So I have two. These are my two inputs on my sound card, mono 1 and mono 2, and this is my output over here. So basically the way trigger works is trigger, I feel like I should explain what it does so that demonstrating will be easier for you. So let's go back to my streaming software. Then yeah, so what's a trigger? A trigger is basically a software or an hardware that converts audio spike into giving samples. Yeah, so you have a library of samples. You have a kick drum sample, a snare drum sample. What that trigger does is it listens to audio spikes from sources, and it automatically changes those sounds into those loaded samples. So I have realistic sounds, I have kick drum sample, snare drum sample. I have toms, tom 1, 2, 3, floor tom. I have these samples in a library, saved in a library, and anytime I encounter any issue or my kick drum sounds bad, I can just place a trigger software which converts that kick drum into a new fresh kick drum. So that's how it actually works. So it listens to audio spike. So what you just need is an audio spike, and that audio spike is going to be sent to your to the trigger software, and trigger software is going to change that sound into the sample you've loaded in it. So that's how it actually works. So you guys should watch and see how I'm going to do it. So let's go back to Cubase. So this is an audio track. I can add another one if you want me to. Let me add an audio track, input mono 1, coming from left, then configuration in mono. Very good. So this is, I want to confirm if audio is going to my streaming software. Let me add a test tone, tools. So let me confirm. Yeah, it is, audio is going into my streaming software. So this is my track. So let me just name this track kick. So what I can do is you can hear me now, you can see my voice is entering into the software. So this my voice is dynamic, it has some high sides and some low sides. So if I go to edit and I place that trigger plugin, the trigger I'm using is Aptrigger from Apulsoft. This is it over here. So what it does is you can see the transients and the resonance of my voice. Everything I'm saying is entering into the trigger plugin. So this is like a gate and a window which shows you the level of audio coming in. So what you can do is, it has a gate, a window. If you look over here, you can see this white region. So anything that crosses this black region and enters into this white region will be triggered. That's how it works. So if I make my snap my finger like this, you can see that spike. So it means that spike is entering into that line, and as it's entering into that line, I can actually load a sample, and that sample, when I load it, it will automatically change the snap of my finger to a kick drum sample, to whichever sample I create. So if I come over here and I press load, then I load the kick drum sample. So watch me snap my fingers. Hold on. You can see how funny that is. If I change it to a snare drum sample, load, snare, this is just me snapping my fingers. So guys, I have different layers in a sample. In your trigger, you can actually create layers, meaning I have 4 layers over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can use those layers to set dynamics. That's how much I want this louder spike. I want this louder spike to trigger these loud notes. So on my snare, most times on my snare, I have 3 samples on my snare. A very hard note that's very loud with much attack, then a medium hit note, then a ghost note. So that way I can make my snare so dynamic. So if I change, if I activate this trigger plugin back and I snap my finger, you hear the snare sound. Once it gets into this region, you hear the hardest hits. Then this one is like a medium hit, then these guys are ghost notes over here. So let's try that. Sorry, I need to activate it over here. Switch on. If I load the tom sample, let me load the tom sample, tom 1. That's tom 2. Then I have floor tom. Isn't that amazing? That's the way it actually works. You just need an audio spike. Sorry guys, I need to switch off my monitor. Yeah, so that my voice will not sound double. So you need an audio spike to get into that trigger, and the trigger automatically triggers a sample you've loaded into it. That's the way it works. It's as simple as that. So you don't see things like this and call it fake. It's just mixing. It's not cheats. Most of the times your snare drum can get broken and you need to use a trigger, or maybe your thumbs are having cymbal bleed and you just need to place a trigger on it, and yes, bye bye to cymbal bleed. You have a clean sounding tom. So what I do is I have a very realistic drum sound, and it took me years to get that realistic drum sound, because my samples are made up of 3 layers, mostly 2 or 3 layers, in order to look for dynamics. I'm looking for dynamics. I want my drums not to sound like an electric drum. I want it to sound like a natural drum. So I've spent years building this library. If you want this library, I can actually send it to you just for a little price. And if you want to install the software, I have engineers I can link you up with, and they will help you install it. For those that are runners in this game, you can actually try and install it yourself. The name is Aptrigger Apulsoft. It's free. You can try and get it, but it's tricky to install. But once you get it done, you've gotten it done. So the last thing you need to know, one more thing you need to know about is your buffer size. So what's buffer size? Buffer size is basically processing speed, processing power. So you want to make sure that you're running on a very low buffer size. Why? So a high buffer size means you're telling your laptop to take time to process audio, because in anything digital audio there is latency. Yes, you have samples moving from one, samples are being processed. So latencies, there's going to be latency introduced into the audio signal. So if you're running on a high buffer size, you're able to do more load. Your laptop will be able to do more processing, but to take its time to process, that means the latency is going to be higher. So but if you drop your buffer size to something like 64 or 32, which is very very low, the latency will be very very minute, and also um um also it will process very fast, but it can't do much load, it can't do much work like having a buffer size, but it will process very very fast. So that's different between high buffer size and low buffer size. So you have to know the balance. So basically you can't notice anything that is 10 milliseconds. Anything below 10 milliseconds you can't notice that latency, except you're the one that's actually making that trigger or playing a piano that is being delayed. You can't notice it just by looking at somebody playing. You can't notice that delay. So any latency above 10 milliseconds is unacceptable in live sound. So you want to make sure you're dropping your buffer size to a very very low amount, to where your audio is going into the laptop and coming out very very fast, because you're trying to trigger live. You want the sound to be changed live. So you want to make sure it's moving very fast. You don't want your drummer to play your snare and the snare will appear milliseconds later in time, causing this kind of lag and snare. So you want it to be very fast. So I'm going to show you how to drop your buffer size. Very simple. Every DAW has it. Even your Wave Super Rack also has it. So if you come over here, let me show you my screen. If you come over to Cubase and you go over to your studio setup, you always see on your audio systems, when you go to the driver you're using, you can see I'm having an input latency of 16 milliseconds, right? And output latency of 14 milliseconds. That's very very high, and I can't use this for live sound. So I have to be sure that my buffer size is very low. So currently I'm running on 512, which is standard. So if I drop it down to something like 128, watch the milliseconds over here, latency over here, input and output latency over here. So 64, and I press close, it drops down to 5 milliseconds, which is acceptable for live sound. Very, very acceptable. So you can use this kind of latency to do your trigger. So if I go back to my trigger software and I press that snare, let me switch it on, and you can hear the thumb sound, floor thumb sound. I can actually use my hands to play them. Like, I have different samples, I have plenty. There are many samples I have. So that's the way it works. It's not that hard to get wrap your head around. It's so simple to wrap your head around. So that was all about a trigger. That's how trigger works. It's very simple to use and very effective. You can actually place an equalizer before the trigger to filter out some unwanted frequencies that you don't want to get into the trigger software. So those frequencies will not be able to um, trigger, or what do we call it? Trigger or make a sound you don't want it to make. So if I come back to my software over here, so guys, I'm going to show you guys another analogy. So if I do this over here, so my sound card has two inputs, right? I have my microphone over here, which is this guy, very sensitive microphone, and I have like a jack to jack cord um connected. This is a jack to jack cord. So you see this gramming sound. So this gramming sound you're hearing, I can actually change this gramming sound into a kick drum sound. Let me show you guys. So I want to put my screen in the way you guys can see me. You understand? At the same time, see my screen capture. So I'm trying to reduce the size of my screen capture so that you guys can see this. Let me see. Reduce. This is very good. Then transition. You guys can see this now. So if I go back to Cubase and I set my input to mono 2, which is my this jack in my hand. Once I grab that cable, it's supposed to enter now. As simple as that, I can use this guy to play any sample. If I play a snare, if I come over here to thumb sound, I have floor thumb too. I have a floor thumb here. Floor thumb. But the reason why it's not clean is because you're actually hearing this gramming sound mixing with what's coming from the trigger software, because this guy is also going directly to my OBS, which I'm using to stream. That's why you're hearing that. You're still hearing that gramming sound. But basically, just passing through the software, you can't really hear it. It's gone. So that's how to use the trigger. And then you can also blend. You can blend your raw sound with your original over here. You can see this guy. You can actually blend your original sound with your raw sound together to make sure you get that ideal sound you're looking for. So it's not that hard. So guys, that's all about drum replacement. That's very simple, very effective. If you're using a mixer like a minus M32, you know you're going to use your USB send to send to your DAW. Place the trigger on a channel, then send that channel back to your board through your USB returns. So the audio is coming from the kick drum channel through the USB going to your laptop. Your laptop is changing the sound into is changing it into a kick drum sound, then coming back to the board. And yes, everyone is happy, everyone is hearing a sweet and consistent kick. So that's what the professionals, this is what they use. They do trigger their drums, that's why their drum sounds very amazing. Some things are natural. Me personally, I don't trigger my snare. My kick is always triggered, my kick and my tones, but my snare and overheads are always natural because I want dynamics. I want it to sound natural. So, but I trigger my kicks because of consistency, volume consistency, and um, not just volume consistency, and also texture consistency. The harder you hit, the more mid and high you hear from your kick drum. So I want it to sound the same, but just in different levels. That's why I use what do you call it? That's why I use my snare is natural, and I'm always using a trigger on my kick drum. I want consistency and I want cleanup. So guys, thank you guys for watching this video. If you really found this video helpful, share, like, comment, and if you have any opinion, write it down in the comment section. I'm always in my comment section. Share this video, like, um it helps video go and reach more people. And hopefully if you're looking for any educative video, um my educative videos are always on my live channel. They're always on my live channels, so you can check them out. When you go to my page, go to my live videos, that's where you see educative videos like this to watch. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.